From the right to know law in New Hampshire, we now move south to Massachusetts. Despite improvements to the state's public records law in 2016, it can still be a challenge for Massachusetts residents and newsrooms to get information about their government. That was the case for the Worcester Telegram and Gazette, who in 2018, led by reporter Brad Patrician, requested internal affairs records of officers working in its city police department. The request was made 2 years before the killing of George Floyd, and as highly publicized police shootings were just beginning to give renewed scrutiny to local law enforcement agencies. The Telegram and Gazette believed that the information in the documents it requested would help readers better understand whether officers in their own community were being held accountable for their actions. At first, the Worcester Police Department agreed to provide the Telegram and Gazette more than 2,000 pages of records, but for nearly $4,000, a steep price for records that are public under the law. But making matters worse, the department later changed its mind about the records it said it would release and now would keep most of them secret instead. This secrecy, the newspaper believed, was a violation of the state's public records law. The people of Worcester had a right to know what was in those records, especially given multiple and recent criminal cases involving Worcester police officers. What made this violation especially egregious is that in 2003, the Telegram and Gazette won a landmark legal ruling against the same police department for the same types of records. The records were necessary, the court said, to build confidence in police investigations and to help keep officers accountable to the communities they serve. Said the paper's attorney Jeffrey Pyle, quote, "It's like Groundhog's Day with the city arguing these points over and over again." Yet, despite this legal precedent, the Worcester Police Department continued to withhold the records, beginning what would become a 3-year legal battle between the newspaper and the city. During this time, Patrician spent countless hours reviewing court filings. He produced more than a dozen stories covering the case, and he did all this even as city officials made baseless personal attacks against him and his newsroom. The Telegram and Gazette would ultimately prevail with a major public records win. A Worcester Superior Court judge last year ruled in favor of the Telegram and Gazette, and earlier this year ordered the city of Worcester to pay the newsroom's legal fees. And a stark rebuke to the police department, the court even imposed the first award of punitive damages in a public records lawsuit since at least 2016. The decision reaffirms our right to police misconduct records, and it stands as a warning to all state and local agencies who favor secrecy over transparency. It is a reminder that in a state like Massachusetts, where there is little recourse to fight public record denials, sometimes we need to dig in and battle hard for information. The Telegram and Gazette did just that. Receiving this year's Michael Donoghue Freedom of Information Award on behalf of the Telegram and Gazette are the paper's executive editor David Nordman, reporter Brad Patrician, and attorney Jeffrey Pyle of Prince Lobel in Boston. Congratulations to you all.
Right. On behalf of the Telegram and Gazette here in Worcester, thank you so much for this award. It really is, the most important part of our job, defending the First Amendment. I'm not going to take up too much of your time. I, really owe this award to all of the reporters. Brad sitting next to me here, and Jeff, and I've said this before, one of the best First Amendment lawyers in the business anywhere. So thank you very much for this award. Like I said, it's an honor to receive it.
So I figured we would have a quick lawsuit that would result in a complete win and the newspaper would get the records fast. Well, the newspaper got all the records, but it didn't exactly get them fast. It took 3 years and a trial, but ultimately the newspaper prevailed. And as a result of this, we now have the first ruling applying the punitive damages provision of the public records law to a records custodian because the judge held that the city of Worcester acted in bad faith when it withheld these records. Thank you, NEFAC, for recognizing the Worcester Telegram and Gazette for bringing this important case. It's my hope that lawsuits like this will make our public records situation in Massachusetts better than it is right now. Public records laws really only work well when the government fears lawsuits. And I hope that this lawsuit inspires other news organizations to bring public records cases like this one to challenge all kinds of withholdings that continue to happen in Massachusetts every day. When we fight, we win.
So I'd just like to thank NEFAC for this great honor and this important award. I think everything going on in the world today, it's never been more important to celebrate, people upholding our democratic ideals in this country. I'd also like to thank Jeff Pyle, who just did amazing work. We could not have filed this lawsuit and prevailed, obviously, if it wasn't for him seeing this for what it was from the beginning and saying that I'm going to help you prevail to right a wrong. Also, just on a personal note, just like to thank my mom, Deb Patrician, who was here with us when this lawsuit was filed and is not here any longer. It was not here, unfortunately, when it concluded, but she inspired me every day to keep doing the right thing. And she always did the right thing. And so, I just want to say thanks to her. Doing what's right is important. And that's what we were trying to do with this lawsuit, is to stand up for the truth, stand up for the ideals that we hold dear here at this newspaper. And so for you to recognize us for that means a lot. All right.